Hi and welcome to another narration, presented by yours truly, Cryptid's Roost. Please be so kind as to throat punch the like button and smack the arse of the subscription button as well. And remember to chokehold that notification bell and then select all. That way you'll receive all notifications each time I upload a new video. I would like to reach out and say a huge thank you to those of you who have been supporting Cryptid's Roost financially with your sponsorship. We pray the good Lord replenishes you abundantly, and to those of you who will, later on. We pray the good Lord bless you as you do so. And also a huge thank you to everyone for always supporting the channel with your likes, comments and shares as well. It is all very much appreciated. God bless you all. I have implemented the auto-generated subtitles option in as many videos as possible. This will help all of our hard of hearing listeners, so I hope this helps and enjoy. Why not hashtag Cryptid's Roost in your comments? So grab your coffee, sit back and enjoy the show. And don't forget, where fear is, happiness is not. In the span of 20 years, I died twice. Part 6. The Capital. This awesome series is written by TheShadyPear, a wonderful author over on Reddit. And if you would like to read more of their works, the Reddit link to their profile will be below in the description. Well, here I am now. In reading up to this point, you've caught up to me, so further updates may be slow afterwards, depending on what I can find anything else worth telling. My bad, but I'll do what I can. The days start early. Most people's first assigned chore when they arrive here is to gather and sift sand. Every day large amounts of it are collected from the area surrounding the glass expanse the city sits on top of, and that sand is then transported to different areas where the grains are categorised by size and density with the help of sieves, filters and water containers. Since my injured foot didn't let me walk quickly until it healed, that part of my work was filled with sitting somewhere and switching back and forth between sieves to separate the grains. Depending on the type, sand will be turned into an array of other things. Clay of varied kinds for pottery or construction, graphite, sometimes mixed with coal, into pencils. Iron and other metal particles are turned to alloy at the furnaces, and silica is turned into glass. Proper soil, rare as it is taken to the orchards. Finding soil is like finding gold. It means there'll be more food in the following months. Pandemonium doesn't have a proper birth site. There's a single large Idrisil tree by the central orchard, but for some reason it only forms any placentas when one of the current denizens dies and resets from it. That tree doesn't birth anyone new, so in regular points, when the city has expanded enough to need more manpower than it already contains, the raiders form an expedition and head out to Dis. I always thought the raiders were a byproduct of Dis itself, the damned who survived for long enough to organise further than most, and who banded up together to continue living via taking whatever they need from the rest of the population. In that sense, they'd be as much a horror story as Dis's ghostly guide, just more logical. Turns out I was both right and wrong about them. Raiders are the result of a deal between Lucy and Rahil. Lucy isn't Dis's actual guide, Rahil is, but Rahil loathes Dis in equal intensity to how Donovan loved Styx, and he refuses to set a foot there again. Sounds like it's true they tried to kill him, but he survived and ended up here. And that formed the order things have nowadays, a pandemonium regulating and increasing its population by sending raider teams into Dis and fetching people the city doesn't want. They also bring in stragglers, like anyone who attacks them or who seems to have potential, and mostly they favour looking for smaller bulbs close to bursting time. That is, children and babies who can actually grow here and adapt slowly. It's not really bad of an exchange for the ones taken, if you ask me. There isn't a lot in it for you by staying there and repeatedly drowning to death for the rest of eternity. Besides, this settlement has the highest life expectancy around, as long as you follow the rules. There are regulations for everything. The process is pretty informal. Instead of a council of 12, there are watchers, 7 of them currently, 1 for each sector of the city. Any requests or issues you have, you take up to your watcher. Things like taking a day off or a sick day, chore schedule mishaps, petty crimes and disputes and such. Imagine it the way someone working in retail would talk to their manager. Anything bigger than a watcher can handle will be reported up and dealt with by the boss. I've already told you of the one on top, Lucy. I'm not sure why people listen to her to begin with, but they do, we do. Most of the city's administration and how things work around was suggested by her. But she's only around about half the time, and the other half is spent on travels between this and other places even farther. Yesterday was my first trip somewhere new from here, and I'll tell you about it the next time. For now though, there's something else I need to mention before I forget. The dreams don't go away. It's not often, but they repeat themselves. Always about the same place, walking down a green meadow with twirling pathways, each stone uncannily neat. The scent of lavender and occasional herbs. People walking, artificial and perfect, with glassy eyes and ceramic skin. I've come to the conclusion that dream is reoccurring to everyone here, or at least a considerable part of the population has had it at some point, like some weird collective subconscious crap. It took a while until I tried asking of it around, under risk of being seen as crazy and whatnot, and most newer people really have no idea what I'm talking about. But the denizens who've been here longer, a lot of time it feels like they're avoiding answering my questions directly, but in all fairness, they don't act like I'm crazy. Rhiannon and Lily in particular just shrug and nod or shake their heads to confirm or deny when I ask if they remember some specific detail or another, and there have been quite a few nods. I figured I should mention this since up to this point the dream events have always been the same, but last week, for the first time, I saw what happened after. The dream sped up. The meadow road gone as my feet took me to another area. I now watched 2 people from behind the gates of my father's new garden. He asked me what I thought of them. I could feel his gaze on me, an invisible pressure on my shoulders, waiting for my answer. Father had said he didn't need more of us, that there were enough already, so I was the last one, or I should be the last. But the 2 in the garden were different. It's more like they ought to be prototypes of my kind instead of the inverse thing, made out of raw clay instead of fine china, still rough around the edges. They had no bone looping as a protective crown around their skull, making their heads look fragile and bare. Fat hung awkwardly on their flesh, with misaligned teeth still growing in, and frail skin they didn't bother covering. And they were so small. An odd word popped in my mind to describe them. Children. They bumbled about the garden, so very clueless, testing their arms and legs, climbing things and grabbing things. Tiny, strange and beautiful, I heard myself saying. I'm glad you like them. The wind rustled in response, and the pressure on my shoulders vanished. I could finally breathe again. I woke up earlier than I'd have liked, and my head hurt a little, which I blamed on the noise outside. It's almost scary how you get used to things. like I got used to Panda's early rustle, to catching sight of the raiders and night crew coming downstairs when I head up to sleep, and to my idiotic room neighbour running down the hall at barely daybreak, slamming pots and pans and yelling, and the following choir of groans and swearing spreading, while I and other sane people opened their doors to curse at that fucking moron. Wake up, asshats! Raise the spit! Go to hell! Already am! May your jeans snag on every door handle you pass! There were nothing worth of note nor different there. The walls were still white, the sky was still grey, the sun as cold as always. I wobbled into the kitchen, still half asleep, in line with some other damned to grab food before checking my chores for the morning. Rahil was by the wooden stove making breakfast, and I sunk into one of the stools to wait for my turn while trying not to fall asleep again, lulled by the sound of him singing Achilles Come Down and flipping potato pancakes, or an attempt at potato pancake lookalikes with some weird tubers we'd got. I yawned and rubbed my scalp with my fingers, half fixing my hair and half searching my skull for a halo made of bones, but of course there were none. I was scheduled for another off-city expedition in the afternoon. Don't forget, if you enjoyed that story, be sure to pop over to the author's Reddit profile and drop them a line, or even give them a glowing review. I'm sure they really would appreciate it. The link to their Reddit profile will be below in the description. Please be so kind as to throat punch the like button and smack the ass of the subscription button as well. And remember to tap the notification bell and then select all. That way you'll receive all notifications each time I upload a new video. Oh, and don't forget to share the video far and wide. This will all help with YouTube's algorithm and will help to promote this channel more. And don't forget to check out the merch store. The link will be in the description and also in the video thumbnail. And if you would like an honourable mention, send in a snapshot of yourself with your purchase and I'll feature it in one of the videos. I now have my very own subreddit community where you can submit any stories you've written. You can submit your stories or encounters either there or send them to cryptidsroost@gmail.com. If you wish to remain anonymous, that's fine with me. All the links are below. I also have a Facebook group, Twitter, Reddit, and you'll also find me on Discord. If you would like to support this channel and help make it grow, my PayPal is paypal.me/cryptidsroost. Again, that will also be below. And don't forget, where fear is, happiness is not.